Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And tonight we got a special guest, Richard Johnson from Hot Rod Haven Transport. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, just living a dream down here in sunny Florida.
Yeah.
So you're out on the road, so I'm glad that we got a chance to catch up with you, with what you do for a living.
Yeah, I haven't been on the road a whole lot lately. 2024 hadn't been nice to me.
I've heard that a lot in this industry. We had a couple guys from another transport place, and they were saying that it was basically just shows that they were running to now. But
no, nothing really to do with business. It's just bad luck, one after another. It started in January 4th. I was coming back from San Antonio, picked up a new Z06 Corvette, and smoked the transmission of my truck.
Oh.
Which it didn't owe me anything. It's 400,000 miles on the original transmission. I, wasn't too upset about it, but it put me down for a little bit. Got that fixed, and a couple weeks later, somebody T-boned my trailer and totaled it.
Oh.
Well, I've been fighting State Farm for 3 months on that.
yeah,
After 17 days, they weren't making any progress of settling with me, so I bought a trailer out of pocket so I could keep going. Went up to North Dakota to buy something that was similar to what I had, and continue to fight with State Farm. They're screwing me over about 10 grand of what the trailer was worth, and no lawyer will take it because there's no bodily injury. So I just taking my lumps and just having to deal with it. I guess somebody else hits me, and then I got to pay 10 grand. It doesn't make sense. But
yeah, that's we went around and around with State Farm with actual insurance. They were charging us $200 and some for one classic car a month, and
oh wow,
because they don't have. It was explained to us after the fact, but when I called, I was like, "Man, is this like are y'all insuring this car for like 30 grand? Because it's not worth 30 grand. Trust me, it's not. I mean." And he's like, "Nope, when Ashley called, the lady was like, nope, that's if it burns to the ground, like you own the burnt pieces. Like we're not paying you nothing unless somebody hits you." And I was like, "Yeah, we need to figure something out quick because, I mean, that car is liable to catch fire."
For stuff for the last 10 years.
Yeah, we ended up with Haggerty.
Yep.
Because they don't have the stipulation of it's got to be in an enclosed garage.
Gotcha.
So, because this house doesn't have an enclosed garage. So.
Right.
But
yeah, finally got the new trailer coming back from California about a month ago.
Sweet.
And smoked the motor in the truck. So 2024 just had not been nice to me.
It's been rough then.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you could get a little closer, I have that spare tire you're looking for.
Actually, I'm supposed to pick one up tonight in Kentucky on my way through. One of my Facebook friends has got one and was going to be within 20 miles of his house.
Yeah, I seen that and I was like, we're a little far apart. But
yeah, I found lots of them, but they want too much money for them.
Oh, I'd give you mine because
there's plenty of them laying around that people will just throw away. I just had to find the right person.
It ain't gonna do me a bit of good. Put the stock rim and tire back on that truck. It ain't. I'll be 3-wheeling or something.
Was yours a dually?
No, but it has a 17 spare.
Oh. Well, yeah, but it's got to be a dually spring.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I couldn't have helped you. But it's got a 31-inch spare tire, and the tires are 38, so I'd be driving down the road a little crooked. Yeah. And trying to get that truck jacked up would be a little bit of a fun time on the side of the road. But so what originally got you into this crazy car obsession?
Man, I don't know. I guess I kind of come back by it naturally. There's somewhere my mom probably still has a picture of me on the potty seat about 2 years old reading the Carcraft magazine. I mean, I just growing up looking at magazines my whole life, and I didn't grow up with my dad, but he always had magazines around and stuff, and I just always had a car obsession. If there was anything in grade school that had to be like anything you wrote down about anything, stories, it would be somehow car related.
Mm-hmm.
Drawing cars, building model cars. And then when I got to be 15, started actually owning cars and never stopped.
So what was the first car?
The first official car that I never really got to do anything with was a 47 Plymouth two-door sedan. I stayed the summer with my dad, and I had to clean. He had taken an old building downtown in the town he lives in. He had demolished the building, and all the bricks from the late 1800s he was selling, and spent a summer chopping the mortar off the bricks. And he gave me that car as payment. And but my mom wouldn't let me bring it to the house. I lived in Dallas, and he lived a ways away, about almost 200 miles away, 180 miles away or so. And so I never really got to have that car. When it got a little bit closer to time to drive, that was actually when I was 14. And then when I was 15 and it was really fixing to be time to drive, so I had always loved fat fender Fords. Just that's, the 40 Ford, 39 Ford was some of my favorite cars. And I was at the grocery store one day and flipping through magazines, and there was a VW Trends magazine, and there was a car on the front cover. It said Rodbuster. What is this? So I opened it up and I start looking, and I was like, man, there's a lot of similarities to air-cooled Volkswagens and street rods, but the whole interior kit's like $200 versus, $2,000 for a 40 Ford, and motor rebuild kits were, a couple $100, and it just opened my eyes to the air-cooled Volkswagen. So I ended up picking up a VW Squareback, and it wasn't running, and my mom's landlord, he was trying to hook up with her, and he's trying to be nice to me, and he had a copy of How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive. And so I started reading that and learning about, and got that car running. And it was an automatic, and I decided I wanted a standard transmission, but I'd never driven a standard transmission. And my best friend's dad, we found one in a junkyard in Fort Worth, fastback. It was the same car I had, but the fastback version of it. And it didn't have a motor in it. So he hauled it to my house for me and swapped the motor and got it running the night before my driver's test, and went and taught myself how to drive a standard transmission the night before my driver's test, and somehow still passed my driver's test.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. Yeah, Volkswagens is usually the gateway, because they're still.
Yeah, it was. All my friends were, into mini trucks, and I had a few Volkswagen friends, and I was the Volkswagen guy at my school, and I mowed lawns at the time, and back in the late '80s, everybody had a VW Bug in their backyard. They had used to run, and it quit running, and it's parked in the backyard. So I'd find them when I was out mowing lawns and stuff, and I'd start knocking on doors, and hey, I'll haul that off for you. And I had a tow bar on my Volkswagen, and I would tow them home, get them running, put it in the auto trader, sell it the next weekend, rinse and repeat. So we did that all the way into my early 20s.
Oh,
probably owned
good old days of
60
auto
or
trader.
70 old Volkswagens. Yeah. Or the newspaper. Sold a lot of them in the newspaper. Dallas Times-Herald was my friend. It was cheaper.
So out of all the cars that you've had, or had the opportunity to purchase, what's the car that got away?
Man, in high school, all the flipping I did, I came up some decent cash, and there was a bright red 1956 Bug on a 1966 chassis with a 2110. It was a Euro car, so it had a semaphores and a factory slider sunroof and center lines. And I didn't build that car; I bought it, but it was stupid fast for what it was. I mean, all the rich kids had new Mustang 5.0s and stuff like that, and it was just as quick as any of those cars. And I ended up trading out like 6 cars for that car to get a VW notchback that I wanted. And I lost that in my divorce a few years later, so it never, you shouldn't have got rid of that car. But that's one of those deals. I don't even have pictures of it because my ex-wife, she when we split up, she destroyed all my old pictures and stuff.
Oh, that's not nice.
Rude.
Yeah, it wasn't a good deal.
Yeah, that's.
But that was my practice wife. I've been with my current wife 22 years now.
There you go.
At least you got it right on the second go around. So
we had lots of conversations. This is how I am. Cars, part of my life. Period. End of story. You don't like it? Hit the door now, because I'm not bending any, because I bent a lot the first time around. And after I got rid of all my cars, she still wasn't happy, and I finally got rid of her.
Me and Ashley had that similar conversation. So is your wife into the cars as well, or is it just something that she lets you do?
She doesn't work on them like your wife does, but I mean, she'll come out in the shop every once in a while with me. But she'll go to the car shows. You know, when we were dating, and I was going to be going on the Hotrod Power Tour, I told her, hey, I'm going to be gone for a week or so. And, she decided she wanted to go with me. We've been doing stuff like that ever since.
Very cool. Very cool. It's always good to have, it's always easier when the significant other supports the habit.
Yeah. Her dad had a 69 Camaro. It was supposed to go to her. Her dad passed away when she was 5. He killed on a motorcycle. And there was a 69 Camaro at her grandpa's house that was supposed to go to her. And had multiple conversations with him about, getting that car, and I was going to, fix it up for her and stuff. And, when the time's right, and when the time's right. Well, one day we were over there, and the car was gone. And where's the car? Oh, I didn't want any of the kids fighting over it, so I sold it. And I tracked the car down, and the guy didn't pay anything for it. And, of course, he wanted stupid money for it.
Of course.
We never could get it.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's... So, currently, what is the favorite car that you have?
Oh, Lord. Yes, right now it'd be the Cutlass, because it actually runs and drives again.
You still messing with it?
That's my only car of coolness that runs and drives at the moment.
Well, we've had some people that have said that non-running cars are still their favorites. So running or not doesn't matter.
I mean, I've got a 54 Olds 2-door hardtop that was... So back up a little bit. So I bought the bone stock Cutlass in 2009. It was a one-owner car with 67,000 original miles on it, 98% rust-free, original paint, original interior. I bought it from the dealer on eBay that bought it at the estate auction. No telling what he paid for it. I paid pretty decent. But I was looking for a 64 to 67 GM A-body convertible. I didn't care if it was a Chevelle, Buick, Olds, Pontiac, whatever, but I wanted to build a pro touring type themed car that will handle like a modern sports sedan, but in a body of a 64 to 67 GMA body. I looked for probably close to a year up and down the highways, looking at cars, looking at junk, and finally found this one. And since it was an original paint car, there wasn't anything to hide, and bought it off of eBay and brought it. It's actually in Pennsylvania of all places, so it was in rust country.
Oh, jeez.
But the only rust in that whole car is the bottom of both fenders had a spot about a little bigger than a silver dollar.
Oh, wow.
And so I remade the bottom of both fenders and painted below the molding. So other than that, the car is still the original Target Red from GM. I mean, it looks really good in pictures. And if you're 10 feet away or farther, then it still looks really good. You get up on top of it, you can see there's a lot of, oxidation and the crow's footing where the lacquer's starting to go bad in places and stuff. But so I took that car, pulled the body off the chassis, did at the time the best and staying economical suspension that you could buy back in 2009, 2010. Took the original motor, regasketed it, painted it, cleaned it, detailed it, detailed the crap out of the car, did a lot of subtle custom touches to it, put a Tremec TKO 600 5-speed in it. Then you couldn't get a TKX, so to put a TKO in that car, you had to raise the tunnel. So raised the tunnel about 2 inches for transmission clearance, and it was a nice, fun car. Took it to Good Guys Columbus, Ohio, to the Nationals. They invited me in the area of the nice cars, and it was a cool car. And I sold it to build my shop in, I believe, 2011. So I had a smaller shop in the backyard, but I wanted a bigger shop, and I sold it to build the bigger shop. Well, in the meantime, shortly after I sold it, I bought this. My next car I decided I wanted a 54 Olds. I always loved the Oldsmobile, what I kind of call the frowny face grill. But I discovered that in 54, Oldsmobile was a year earlier than Chevrolet. So it's got the what looks like a 55 roof line and body style of a Chevrolet, but it's got the frowny face grill. So once I discovered that, I wanted that exact car and looked for quite a while till I found one in Bakersfield, California, and shipped it home. And it was my 40th birthday present to myself.
Awesome.
And that was over 10 years ago now, and I haven't touched it. That's my get off my lawn, son. I'm going to build that car one day. But the way I want to build that car is a pretty expensive build. I want to do a chassis on it. I want nice paint. I want to do a old Oldsmobile motor, like a 394 or something like that, but do fuel injection on it. So do like a tune port fuel injection, multi-point. So the car, the only money I've ever spent on the car other than the car itself is I paid Ben Hermans to do my renderings of what I had in my head. And the car is called the Aerofusion 88. So it's gold and white, looks like something out of the 60s other than the 22-inch wheels. They're look like Steelies, but they're billet aluminum, and then they're painted to match the car. And it's going to be a cool car, or I'm going to die. I'm not sure what.
Hopefully you can get on it. So you got the Cutlass. And
lately, just trying to get it running and just making a car instead of just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's because I don't really have the money or time to do the full build I want to do. So, just put like some chrome steelies, lower it, get it running, and just leave the patina for now.
So you said you sold the Cutlass, but you got it back. So how'd we get it back?
Yeah. So out of the blue in 2019, I get a phone call, and it was the guy in California I'd sold the Cutlass to. He's like, "Hey man, I need to build a new bar. I need some quick cash. You know anybody who might want to buy your old car?" And I was like, "Oh man, can't afford to buy it right now, but what do you want for it?" And he told me, I was like, "Man, I can't afford not to buy it for that." And my plan was, because I was buying it so cheap, I was just going to flip it again. And I got the car back, and there was a cruise in East Texas that a guy was putting on. And I got to the deal, and there's a big lot, and the guy putting it on is like, "Okay, if you want to spiritly drive, get over in this line. And if you're just Sunday church driving, get over in this line." So this was all kind of car cruise. So lots of new Camaros, Mustangs, Corvettes, Mazda Miatas, some other sports car stuff got in the spiritly drive line. And I get back behind them, and they're all just kind of looking at me like, "What the heck is this guy doing?" But when I was taking the same curves, 80 plus miles an hour that they were like all blown away. But they kept trying to outrun me in the straightaways. And I didn't have enough power, but I had a 5-speed, and I over-revved it one too many times, and I hurt the motor.
Oh, jeez.
So it's been sitting since 2019 with a hurt motor just in the back of my shop. And for 2023, we decided we were going to go on the Hot Rod Tour of Texas. And I've got a Suburban that I bought that's already LS swapped, already lowered, pretty nice truck. It needs just some sorting out, and a good 3 or 4 days worth of sorting out, and it would be a good driver. So that was my plan. We're just going to take the family on the Hot Rod Tour of Texas in the Suburban. And my wife is like, "Why don't we take the Cutlass?" I'm like, "Babe, the Cutlass needs a motor." And this is like 18 days from we're supposed to leave on the Hot Rod Tour of Texas. I was like, "Babe, the Cutlass needs a motor." It's like, "Well, I've seen you build motors in a few days before." Yeah, a small block Chevy you can go to Walmart and buy parts for. Now the freaking Oldsmobile motor after COVID, when you still can't get parts. But he got me thinking about it. So sure enough, I decided, screw it. Let's do it. So I had the 403 that I was planning on putting in it just sitting in the side of the shop. And so I tore down the motor, because I hadn't even tore it down. I didn't know what kind of shape it was. It was just a used motor I bought from a friend that had got it from a friend of his that was going to LS swap their Trans Am, and they didn't want the old 403. So I tore it down, and everything was standard, had almost no ridge wear, and it was going to be a good motor. So dropped off the block at the machine shop. I started ordering parts, made a couple trips to Summit, pulled the old motor, started cleaning the engine compartment, and get all the spider webs out of it, stuff. Got the block back from the machine shop, assembled the motor, and was missing a few parts. I got one of the wrong rod bearings, so that set me back an extra 2 days, because it was the right part number on the box, but it was the wrong part inside of it. So nobody had rod bearings for an Oldsmobile, so I had to wait on that. And I had to wait on cam bearings too. Nobody had cam bearings. There was one guy up in Ohio that had cam bearings in stock, and it was just, some guy, not a big company or anything, so it wasn't a super fast process to get them down to me. Mm-hmm. So got the motor assembled, and there's only one company that makes headers for 64 to 67 Olds with a small block. They're American Racing headers. And they are works of art, and they're very expensive, but they're also very tight in the engine compartment. And I'd also gone with a aftermarket pan that had a large sump, and So the night before we were supposed to leave on Hot Rod Tour of Texas, I was like trying to get the motor stabbed in, and it wasn't happening. There was between the headers and the oil pan, and couldn't get the input shaft to get to the right angle, so I was going to have to drop the transmission. And it was like 9:30 at night, so I waved the white flag, and we took my wife's SS Camaro, which, I mean, it was better than not taking anything. But to me, you go on cruises like that, a late model car that you just go buy off the dealer lot, that's not the car for me for that. I mean, it's a fun car, don't get me wrong, but I feel like if I'm on something like that, I feel like I'm with the tour and not part of the tour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on that, got back, and I went back to work and just been busy. And it's time for Hot Rod Tour of Texas again. So a couple of weeks ago, I was like, well, I guess I better get working on the Cutlass again, because I have literally not touched it in a year.
Oh, jeez.
So finally sorted out the puzzle that's if you don't get the exact sequence of between starter, oil pan, oil filter adapter housing, bell housing, and angle of the motor, you don't get it in. Something's not going to go in after you get it in. So I had the motor in and out 4 times, figuring out the combination of what goes what first. And finally, I've got the combination lock solved now, so I could get it in and out quickly now that I know what has to go in and out first. But so I spent about 2.5, 3 days doing that, and then just finishing buttoning everything up and got it started. And we left on Hot Rod Tour of Texas with 10 miles on the motor and put over 1,000 last weekend.
Awesome.
And it was a blast.
So I think it's going to be the Hot Rod Tour of Texas, but what show or event do you try to make every year?
Actually, Hot Rod Tour of Texas is new. This is only the 3rd year in it. We've done the last 2, which is tough for me, because probably what I've hardly ever missed, even since I was a little kid, was Pate Swap Meet. Well, Pate Swap Meet is the same damn weekend as Hot Rod Tour of Texas. So I've missed Pate the last 2 years because I wanted to go on the Hot Rod Tour of Texas, but I want to go to Pate also. So that's probably the one that I hardly ever miss, but now it's, I got to flip a coin what I want to do.
Yeah, that was the one thing that we realized when we started, when you start looking at other places, it's like, why don't y'all get together? Like, these are giant shows. Why do you all have them on the same weekend? Because,
right.
Mini Nationals, Pigeon Forge.
I guess there was some kind of a conflict of interest with Texas Motor Speedway, and Good Guys was the same weekend as Pate, which is, I think, the stupidest thing. It's the same venue. Pate's outside the venue. Good Guys is inside the venue. If you're speed walking, it takes a day to cover Pate. So if you're really want to see Pate, it's 2 or 3 days of walking. Mm-hmm. So how are you supposed to go to the swap meet and then go inside Good Guys or vice versa? All they did was dilute both shows by doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people that want to go to both shows.
Well, you had Lone Star Roundup, Mini Nationals, and Pigeon Forge Rod Run all the same weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, and everybody was talking, oh, I'm going here. Well, you want to see that truck get debuted at Mini Nationals, but then also you have the Austin Speed Shop that you want to go visit. And, you want to support Pigeon Forge, which some of the videos we've watched of that, I don't think we'll ever attend that event. They were toe happy this year.
Pigeon Forge?
Yeah.
Pigeon Forge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They I guess they were towing, if you weren't on the road, they were towing you.
Oh, wow.
Like I've went
I
to,
saw a few videos of the squatted trucks being harassed.
Oh yeah,
That's all I really
get
saw,
that.
but I wasn't paying attention.
But like Cracker Barrel, I've been to a lot of Cracker Barrels. I'm fat and I'm from the South, so we eat at Cracker Barrel a lot. Them parking lots are always huge. They were towing people out of Cracker Barrel.
Holy crap.
Like, and they were justifying it like, oh, well, yeah, there was somebody selling hot dogs. Okay, well, tell him to leave. Like,
Right?
I'm right over there. Like, you could just come and be like, hey, move your truck. I'll be like, all right, I'm out. But no, they were just towing people, and it got ridiculous. So it's not which maybe if we went, maybe that would have been something that we would have like, okay, that, it's a cool show, so we at least want to come back. But just seeing that, I'm like, I'm not worried. I'm not going to try to worry about, somebody trying to tow. I mean, the only truck that they could tow would be our tow rig. The 54, you tried to tow it, that'd be fun. And the Model A, when I get done with it, if they can get something underneath it to tow it, that'd be hilarious too. So,
well, they'll figure out a way if they want to.
The tow rig, they'd have to bring in one of those.
They don't care if they tear it up in the process.
I'm like, and it's everybody out there. Like, I could see the one guy was a 68 Corvette, and it was a beautiful car. And is parked second row in on a Walgreens, and they towed it, and the guy's like, man, I just want my car back. Like, he was mad that it got towed, but he's like, I just want my car back. And he called the police, and they didn't even know who towed it. So he's looking around for his car for, what was it, a day and a half?
Something like that, because they were told somewhere else had it, and they were trying to track down the...
I'm like, yeah, at least, if I call you and go, hey, I parked somewhere and my shit got towed, at least tell me where it's at so I can go get it. Because now the guy at the tow shop, he's like, well, it's been here a day and a half. I want paid for storage. Like,
I've been looking for it for a day and a half, damn it.
So, what's a show that you've never been to that you want to go to?
Where's on the coast?
Yeah, that looks.
I've wanted to go the last several years, and just it never has happened. And got several older guys in the group that I've hung around for 20 years. Unfortunately, several of those guys have died this year. But they always go to it, and it's one of their favorite places to go. And so one of these days, I really want to go to that. Also, probably Detroit Autorama.
Yeah.
Never been, and I think that would be pretty cool. Before last year, I wanted to go to Grand National Roadster Show. But thanks to Stacy David from the Old Trucks TV show, I got to go to the Grand National Roadster Show.
Awesome.
Jeepers.
I was hired to haul Copperhead to the Grand National Roadster Show.
Oh my goodness.
And
it had to be one of the cooler builds he did too,
Dude, he was amazing. You never know, because it wasn't him that directly hired me. It was the promoter of the Grand National Roadster Show. He's friends with another guy that I know up in Seattle. It's a big car guy, and he puts on car shows too and stuff. And he had recommended me to do the shipping of it. So they hired me to do the shipping for Stacy David. And I just set myself up for zero expectation. Because you just never know with a celebrity. They can be super cool on TV, but you meet them in person, they could be the biggest dick in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to you. So first of all, it was pretty late at night. And I called him and I said, hey, I'm coming into town fairly late. You want me to load tonight or you want me to wait until the morning? Oh, no, man. You can come tonight. It's probably 11. It wasn't quite 11. It's probably 10:45 where I was going to get. I get there at 10:45. I was like a buddy that he had known for 20 years that hadn't been over there in a while. He's showing me around projects, talking shop, showing me all stuff. I mean, he is just the absolute coolest, down-to-earth, serious car guy you'll ever meet.
That's awesome.
He just happens to be a celebrity. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Jeez.
That's the one thing that I've noticed about car guy TV celebrities. Most of them are down to earth because they understand where they started. They remember where they started.
Right.
Because, like, we had the opportunity to talk to Johnny Jalopy, and I was like, when I shot him the message, I was like, he's never going to write us back. Oh, man, I'd love to. And I'm like, what? Okay. And, you know, we had him on, and he's awesome. He just picked up
29?
No. Ours is a 29. I think his is a 30. Model A sedan. Named it Rose. So, I'm excited to see what... Because he actually can draw his own stuff. So, I'm excited to see what that car comes out as. But I am a little jealous because he drove his around.
Yeah.
I've had mine longer, and I haven't been able to drive it yet. 6 volt is...
6 volt system yet?
6 volts is still whipping my ass. So
Is it? I've never worked on a 6 volt system. All the Volkswagens I ever had was 6 volt. We just combined.
So. Yeah, I've thought about just switching it over to 12 volt and making it run, but it would be double work because I don't plan to use that motor. I don't plan to use that chassis.
Right.
So
right,
it'd be cool to get it running in its current. You know, I bought a battery and a coil for it, but I didn't really want to even do that, but I was just trying to get it running. But we'll see how it goes. I got to sell some shit so I can get working on it. My 32 is still for sale. Anybody out there that wants a 32 pickup truck, I'll put it on a chassis for you and everything. But,
not that much.
Like I said, it would be an awesome build. It's really, really good bones. I got boxing plates for the frame and everything. And all the rust repair panels, I got all of that. Just watching my mom and dad climb in and out of theirs. They have a 34. And watching them climb in and out of it just didn't look it didn't look like something that I wanted to sign up for a while. And whatever car I build next.
Shoehorn they have to use every time.
Yeah. And mine's channeled more than his. And, like everything that I could have done to make less space, it already has. So, I mean, I could put a regular firewall back on it, get some more foot room, but it is what it is. I want something.
I've never been.
I want something that, me and Ashley can hop in it. Not saying that we're going to take off to California or Texas or every weekend, but if there's a group of guys that are like, hey, we're going to this show and we're driving, I don't want to be the guy like, oh, that's cool. I'll follow you with the trailer. So.
I've never been in a stock Model A until fairly recently. I had hauled a few. And I never realized how little of room there actually is in those things. I'm like trying to figure out how I get my feet close enough together to use the pedals and stuff. It was like, I'd been around a few street rods and stuff that had stuff moved around and you could actually drive. I don't know how people used to drive those things.
Well, they were about a foot shorter than we are, and they were all skinny.
I guess so.
No. I was really shocked. Obviously, we pushed it on the trailer, but coming home, I just got in the car and Ashley undid the buckles and I rolled off the back after we tested, made sure it had brakes. And I was honestly surprised at how much room that 4-door has.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to mess that up by channeling it and stuff, but...
But at least we can move the front seat.
Yeah,
back.
I could sit in the back seat at least. But so tell us about Hot Rod Haven Transport or Hot Rod Haven LLC.
The company.
Oh, I've been in the dealership industry for close to 30 years. And probably at least the last 10, 12 years, I wanted to do my own thing. I've always bought and sold cars, fixed cars, done little stuff with classic car stuff, usually just as stepping stones to get to what I wanted to do for my own personal projects. But doing it even with minimal effort and minimal time invested, there's, little money to be made. So my thought process was, if I do this full time, I can make a living, but made pretty damn good money in the dealership world. I was started in sales, went from sales to body shop. I was a estimator in the body shop, ended up being a service writer, then service manager, and then a body shop. Especially as a body shop director, I was making some pretty damn good money. And I had just taken over the body shop I was in at this dealership and took it from basically losing money every single month to record profits in about 8 months. We were literally talking with contractors and almost signed the weekend before, but I was just a couple things I wanted to wait on. And we were building a new custom house and shop. I've got the land. I've had the land paid for a long time. I'm just waiting to build what I want to build. And then COVID started kind of talking about on the news and stuff. And I thought, well, let's just hang off for just a second. And like overnight, that really good income was like cut in half.
Yeah.
The corporate owner of the dealership I was at, they like froze all manager bonuses. And even though we were still making money, we weren't making any money anymore, as employees. And it was just like a real gut check of, holy crap, even my guarantee that, all this money I was making ain't a guarantee. It was just a hardcore reality check. And I had either I hadn't turned 50 yet. I was about to turn 50, and it was like, man, I'm not getting any younger. So after things started picking back up with COVID, after COVID, couldn't get any decent employees. I was hiring and I was just stressed out, and just like, I'm done. So the very end of 2022, I left. I jumped without a parachute. Didn't know what I was going to do. Knew it was going to be something with cars. And, I haven't not had a job since I was 15 years old, 14 years old, even older than that if you count my mowing lawns. So I just didn't have a job in January of 23. And it's like, not sure what I'm going to do. And I said I was going to just take the month off and do absolutely nothing and just not even think about doing anything. But in the back of my mind, I was still going to do the buying, selling, flipping, probably get a dealer's license and go serious with that. And then I'm always going somewhere with an empty trailer to pick up something or look at something. So I figured a small piece of that was going to be, I'll start offering shipping services. So I'm at least paying for my fuel getting to somewhere and not just going with an empty trailer somewhere. And when I started doing that, and within a very few short months, I was getting calls constantly to the point of, well, shit, I'm not even going to have time to work on cars. I'm just going to be shipping cars for people.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people in that business that absolutely suck. And, speak English and I can drive a standard transmission. So I'm like way ahead of the game for that business. But, so I kind of just dove all in with the transport side of it. And I was doing just open transport at the time. And a friend of mine, he had suggested, you ought to really look into enclosed. And I was like, I'm doing okay like this. And I didn't want to put the expense into an enclosed trailer. Well, another friend of mine, he was selling a 25-year-old case, 24-foot, just well used trailer. But it was dirt cheap. I was like, well, shit, I'll buy it and just see how it goes. And I started shipping out of that, and then it was like 70% of my requests became enclosed. I was like, and I could charge more and had a little bit more room for other stuff with the 24-foot. So I was like, well, I guess this is kind of the direction we're going. And so I doing more enclosed, and then bought a nice trailer, and it was a 28-foot bumper pull aluminum, large escape door. And I was doing that for the last year until somebody T-boned the trailer and totaled it. So now I've got a 40-foot gooseneck that's got 32 foot of floor space. So you can't get two cars in it. You could get two small cars in it, street ride.
Yeah.
But regular cars, you can't get two cars in it. But I do a lot of like golf cart in a car, bikes in a car. A couple bikes will fit with a car nicely. So I do a lot of that. So it's turn down more work than I take. I get requests all the time. Trying to, in the back of my mind, figure out what my next step is. I've thought about buying another truck and putting somebody else on the road, but then you're having to deal with another person, and can I trust somebody else to do the way I'm going to do, take clients the way I'm going to do. Thought about becoming a broker and brokering out some of the loads, get a group of other shippers that I can trust. So when I get these jobs I can't get to, I can give them to somebody else that I trust and make a little bit of money off of it at the same time. Or I've also thought about leasing on somebody else. So they're using their own equipment, but then they're using my customers and my connections that I've made and stuff. So right now it's just me, myself, and I, and stay as busy as I want to be as long as I've got equipment that's working.
Yeah.
Did you have a car in the trailer when it got T-boned, or was it an empty trailer at least?
No, it had a car. The one good thing about it is it was probably the least expensive car that had been in there in probably 6 months. It was a $6,500 project car. It was a Le Mans. It caved the door in, and the rocker. But that's the only good thing on the whole deal on dealing with State Farm is they actually paid more than what I was hoping for that car. And but they're way off on my trailer and my loss of income.
Yeah, that's insurance is a scam.
Absolutely.
A necessary evil, though. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So what is one piece of advice that you would tell somebody that's trying to get into this? Whether it's the hauling business, whether it's cars in general, or a piece of each, whatever.
I mean, cars in general, just, you got to remember how to eat an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. If you try to do too much all at once, you're going to overwhelm yourself. And, I've bought a lot of cars that were enthusiastically disassembled and then sat for 5, 6, 7 years in somebody's garage. And I bought them for pennies on the dollar and dragged them home and assembled them and then sold them.
Oh, goodness. Well,
is there anyone that you need to thank or shout out, or anyone that you'd like to shout out?
Just probably my wife, my family. I spend more times away from them than I used to. But she's somewhat understanding of it. There's some days that we don't get along in certain situations about it. But there's a means to an end. And, my goal is to not always be just out on the road. Eventually want to take it to where somebody else is out on the road for me and still making the money.
All right. Well, with that being said, make sure y'all go check out Swap It Fast. Find that needle in the haystack.
And don't forget about Throttle Addict using the code word HOTROD and you get to save 15% off.
Awesome. And thank you, everybody. We want to shout out everybody. Thank you for the support and likes and shares and comments. And just come and hang out. Remember, we go live on Tuesdays. Come hang out with us. And the cruise is on the third Sunday of every month if you're anywhere near us.
Yes.
Just hang on.
Appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, thank you.
Stay on. All right, guys. With that being said, till next time, go get out and drive your shit.
See ya.
Later.